All right, guys, I am here in the shop. I just wanted to do a quick video on my Starlink here. So I bought the Starlink Gen 3. It was on sale from, I believe, $400 to $300. So I said, you know what? I've heard a ton of good things about the Starlink. I'm always in the desert. I like to have internet and I could either watch movies, work, do whatever I want while I'm at the desert in the middle of nowhere. And I have the Gen 3, which I was going to use for my house, but ended up getting just the other internet provider. It was just ended up being cheaper. So I essentially converted this from like an at-home unit to a roaming unit. So as you can see, it comes with the satellite, the router, and the power supply. Now, the one thing that I didn't like was traveling with this unit. It's obviously a big unit. It comes pre-packaged in its own, slots for the router, the power supply, the wiring. But once you take it out of the packaging the first time, to get it back the way it was, nice and neat, is always a pain. So what I wanted to do, and I've seen this online, was to create some sort of travel unit that's all in one, that all I have to do is connect to the generator or connect it to any type of power source, but I don't have all these wires running around. I don't have to set anything up. So what I did, obviously the Gen 3 is the bigger router, and so I couldn't get one of the smaller pack-out boxes that I found to fit the router, so I needed something that was big enough. And I came up, sort of my idea on the configuration I did, but I do need some of your guys' helps and tips on how I can improve this. So what it is it's a Craftsman pack-out box. So more of like a tool storage box. And I'll link all of these things down in the description. But when I was looking on Amazon, there were tons of choices. There were Pelican boxes that were like $200–300. There was specific Starlink carrying boxes. Most of them were for the minis. I couldn't really find anything for the price and that would fit the Gen 3 Starlink. So what I did was I looked on Amazon, I searched up the dimensions I need, which I believe is 24. I'll have to Google, I can tell you right. So the Gen 3 router is 24 inches by 14. So I was looking for something that was either 25 by 16. And I think the overall dimensions of this was 29 by 20 by 16. So it was able to fit the Gen 3 Starlink. And when I saw those measurements, I bought it. It was actually on sale for, I believe, 60 bucks. I'll put the link down in the description. It comes with this little carrying tray that slides on there really nicely. But the best part is I was able to make this a modular configuration, and I could just set this down right here. So essentially, I was able to buy these wall mounts from Amazon that I mounted up against the box on the side panel. I was going back and forth where I wanted the router and the power supply, etc. But as you could see, I essentially drilled, a couple holes, put these screws and bolts in, and with the nuts on it. So just taking a step back, I have the power supply here with its own mount, mounted up to the box on the side. I have the router that essentially gets power from the power supply, and then it has the cable. I believe it's, not sure if it's a Cat 5, I believe. You'll have to double check me on that, but essentially comes with the Starlink, and that Cat 5 runs to this big, long, I don't know, it might be 20 to 30 feet of cable. So what I wanted was something that was just, I take it in the back of my truck and all I have to do is unload it and plug in and I'm ready to go. So what I did was I bought an inlet that connects to the router, drilled, I believe, a 2-inch hole, and now I'm able to plug in directly to my Starlink. So I just have to plug into that using an extension cable from either a generator or a power source. And now everything will naturally, or everything now has power once it's connected to a power source. So it could be connected, it feeds power to the power supply, which goes to the router. And I bought this cable organizer here that you can find the set that comes with all these three included. I'll link that in the description. But as you can see, this cable is way too long for the purpose that I need. I'm usually only using like 5 or 6 feet of this cable. So what I did, and I still have to add a rubber grommet, but I was able to sort of feed that through here. And as you could see, if you don't need that much, but if you're camping, you essentially plug that into there. Obviously the power source from the extension cable, and you're all booted up, you're ready to go. There's nothing else that's needed. A couple modifications that I had to make, as you could see, there's these channels of support that come on this Craftsman box. I used the knife to cut these off, and then I used my oscillating tool to smooth it out. It's a little rough around the edges, but you know, obviously no big deal, so that this could mount flush. So essentially, it's pretty nice. I have these mounted up as, with screws and bolts in here. Same thing here, but a pretty easy plug and play solution that I wanted to share. I'm sure other people are looking for mounting and traveling solutions for this Gen 3. Like I said, this is the bigger unit. I didn't want the mini. This one was on sale. It's about $160 a month for the roaming, which is more expensive than the at home. But essentially, if I'm ready to pack up, I just have to organize this back up. Makes it super simple. I'm sure you guys can find tons of videos on the Starlink itself, but I absolutely love this thing. Took it out to the desert, and I almost have better Wi-Fi there than I do at my house. So the help that I do need is trying to find a mounting solution for the Starlink itself. And I want it to be a little bit more secure than I have it here. The way I have it set up is so that I could also keep this tray to store whatever I need, whether it's like tools or just extension cables. When you buy the Starlink, and I was thinking of using these corner inserts or using something like this, but I wanted to sort of mount this up to where it could lay in place and maybe add some foam or some strapping device. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts on what the best way to mount this is. As you can see, it's just laying on top of the router and on top of this little tray organizer here. I am going to take this one step further, and I'll probably do another video with that. But essentially, I want to add an inverter and a small battery that I could pretty much run off grid. I have the Jackery that would just plug in, that honestly would fit really nicely here, so I might do that. And I also wanted a way to mount this to the top of the box, so that, let's say I wanted internet while I'm driving, I could just mount this up somehow, strap it in. Let me know if you guys have any solutions or if you think of anything clever. But I wanted something like this that I could just put in the back of my truck. I have an inverter, run an extension cable from the inverter to the back of the box, and essentially I would have internet while I'm driving. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll leave the link to all of these parts in the description. But essentially, it's very simple. The Craftsman box, you'll buy an inlet, you'll buy the mounts for both the router and the power supply, and then a simple cable organizer. So once you have all that, you could really buy any box that fits. I like this one because it's modular, and it's cheap enough to where I don't mind drilling holes. It goes without saying, you know, once this is connected, you sort of can shut this. No, there's no cables in the way, and it's protected from the elements, so you don't need to worry about rain or really anything damaging the router or the power supply or whatever else you have in here. On top of that, it's really nice having something that that can roll. So this actually slides out and you're able to roll this wherever you want, so you don't need to pick anything up. You can just simply roll it. But let me know what you guys think. I think it's coming out really nice. Like I said, I think there might be a few other additions that I might do, but I'll keep you guys in the loop. I could finally get rid of this box that's been lingering around with really no purpose. So finally found a long-term solution for the Starlink. Will be easy to take it wherever I want, but we'll keep you guys with more videos coming out, and let me know what you guys think.